Why do you hate your parents? I'm staring at my phone screen at 7:23 a.m., coffee growing cold in my hand, reading a text from my coworker Jake. Dude, there are two people in the lobby claiming to be your parents. Security won't let them up without your approval. My stomach drops. Mom and Dad are here. At Nexus Technologies. At my workplace, 3,000 miles from their house in Ohio, without so much as a phone call. I haven't spoken to them in 8 months. Tell security I'll be down in 5, I text back, my hands shaking slightly as I save the code I've been working on. Around me, the San Francisco office is just coming to life, developers grabbing their second cups of coffee, product managers huddled over whiteboards, the familiar hum of a successful tech company on a Tuesday morning. Normal. Everything I've built here is normal and healthy and mine. The elevator ride down feels eternal. I catch my reflection in the polished steel doors. At 28, I finally look like the senior software engineer I am. Gone is the anxious, perpetually apologetic kid who left home at 18. I'm wearing a button-down that actually fits, my hair is styled instead of perpetually unkempt, and there's a confidence in my posture that took years of therapy to develop. The lobby doors slide open and there they are. Mom is wearing her good coat, the black wool one she saves for church and doctor's appointments, and has clearly spent time on her hair and makeup. She's clutching her purse with both hands, that nervous smile plastered across her face that I remember from every parent-teacher conference where she had to pretend to care about my grades. Dad stands slightly behind her in a suit I've never seen before, probably bought for this ambush. He's scanning the lobby with obvious awe, the floor-to-ceiling windows, the modern art installations, the sleek furniture that screams successful tech company. They spot me immediately. Mom's face lights up with that practiced expression of maternal joy that never quite reaches her eyes. Michael. She rushes toward me like we're in some heartwarming reunion movie. Oh honey, look at you. You look so professional. I stand my ground as she approaches, very aware that Jake and a few other colleagues are watching from the elevator bank. Security guard Marcus gives me a questioning look. We've chatted enough times that he knows my normal visitors, which consist of exactly no one from my family. What are you doing here? I ask, keeping my voice level. Dad steps forward, extending his hand like we're business associates. Can't parents visit their successful son? We were in the area and thought. You were in the area. I interrupt. Dad, you live in Columbus. This isn't exactly on the way to anywhere from there. Mom laughs, that tinkling sound she makes when she's been caught in an obvious lie. Well, we may have made a special trip. Sue us for wanting to see where our brilliant boy works. She gestures around the lobby. This place is incredible, honey. You must be doing so well for yourself. There it is. The real reason they're here. The pieces start clicking into place as I watch Dad's eyes catalog every expensive detail of the lobby. Last month, TechCrunch ran that article about Nexus's latest funding round, mentioning our team by name. The month before that, I'd been quoted in Wired discussing our AI infrastructure. Apparently, someone back home had been keeping tabs. How did you even know where I work? I ask. Mom waves her hand dismissively. Oh, your Aunt Carol saw that article online. She's so proud of you, sweetie. We all are. Aunt Carol. Mom's sister who I haven't spoken to in 3 years, not since she told me I was being too sensitive about missing Dad's birthday. The same Aunt Carol who, according to my cousin Emma's Facebook posts last year, had been treated to quite the narrative about my breakdown and how I'd abandoned the family during a difficult time. We should talk somewhere private, Dad says, glancing around at the growing number of Nexus employees filtering through the lobby. Maybe you could show us your office. Or we could grab breakfast. The audacity is breathtaking. 8 months of silence, and they want a tour. I have a 9 a.m. stand-up meeting, I lie. I can give you 15 minutes in a cafe across the street. Mom's face falls slightly, clearly she'd been hoping for the full office experience, maybe some photos to show the relatives. Of course, honey. We don't want to interfere with your important work. The passive-aggressive emphasis on important is so familiar I almost smile. Almost. We walk across the street to Grind Coffee, a trendy spot that's usually packed with Nexus folks. I deliberately choose a table by the window where we'll be visible but not audible. Whatever this conversation brings, I want witnesses nearby. So, Dad starts once we're seated, we've been thinking about you a lot lately. That's new, I say. Mom flinches. Michael, that's not fair. We think about you constantly. We wanted to respect your space. Give you time to cool down. Cool down. Like my decision to cut contact was some kind of tantrum rather than the culmination of 28 years of psychological manipulation. Cool down from what, exactly? I ask. They exchange one of their looks, the kind of silent communication that used to terrify me as a kid because I never knew what judgment was being passed. From the misunderstanding at Sarah's graduation, Mom says carefully. The misunderstanding. That's what we're calling it now. Not Mom telling Sarah's friends how I'd always been jealous of my younger sister. Not Dad explaining to my grandparents that I was going through a phase and couldn't be counted on for family obligations. Not the two of them spending my sister's graduation dinner discussing my apparent mental health issues while I sat right there, watching Sarah lap up every second of being the successful, stable child. Right. The misunderstanding. I lean back in my chair. Well, I'm not particularly interested in relitigating the past. What do you actually want? Dad clears his throat. We want our son back, Michael. Our family back. Life's too short for this kind of estrangement. It sounds rehearsed. Probably because it is. Also, Mom adds, reaching into her purse, we have some exciting news to share. She pulls out a small stack of papers, and my blood runs cold when I recognize the letterhead, Hartwell and Associates Real Estate Development. We're starting a new business venture, she says, beaming. And we were hoping our successful entrepreneur's son might want to be involved. I stare at the papers in Mom's hands, feeling that familiar childhood sensation of the ground shifting beneath my feet. Entrepreneur. I repeat. I'm a software engineer. I work for someone else. Well, yes, technically, Dad says, leaning forward with that conspiratorial tone he uses when he's about to ask for money. But we know you must have stock options, bonuses, all sorts of opportunities. And frankly, Michael, we've been thinking it's time the whole family benefited from your success. There it is. The real reason for the cross-country trip, the new suit, the careful makeup job. They've done their homework, probably spent hours Googling Nexus Technologies, calculating my potential net worth, figuring out exactly how much their brilliant son might be worth to them. What kind of business venture? I ask, though I'm already dreading the answer. Mom slides the papers across the table. Mixed-use development in downtown Columbus. Condos, retail space, maybe a nice restaurant. Hartwell says the area is really up and coming. I glance at the proposal. The numbers swim in front of my eyes, $2.8 million initial investment, projected returns, partnership percentages. My name is already listed as a potential investor. They've been planning this for months. You put my name on this without asking me. Oh, that's just preliminary, Mom waves her hand. We told them we had a son in tech who might be interested. They were so impressed, Michael. When we mentioned you worked at one of those big Silicon Valley companies. I never told you where I work. Dad shifts uncomfortably. Well, like your mother said, Carol found those articles. We're proud of you, son. We've been bragging about you to everyone. The irony would be laughable if it weren't so perfectly on brand. For years, nothing I did was good enough. When I got a full ride to UC Berkeley, they complained about the distance. When I graduated summa cum laude, they spent the whole dinner talking about Sarah's high school volleyball team. When I got my first job at a startup, Dad made jokes about playing with computers, while other people had real careers. But now that there's money involved, suddenly I'm the golden child worth bragging about. How much do you need? I ask quietly. Their faces light up in unison. We were thinking maybe $300,000 to start, Dad says. Just as seed money. You'd be a full partner, of course. 30% stake. $300,000. My entire savings, plus some. The money I've been carefully accumulating for my own future, my own independence, my own life 3,000 miles away from this exact conversation. And if I say no? The temperature at the table drops about 10 degrees. Mom's smile becomes strained. Well, we'd be disappointed, of course. Family should help family. But we'd understand if you're not in a position to help right now. The threat is subtle but clear. I know exactly what disappointed means in their vocabulary. It means another round of phone calls to relatives about my selfishness. It means Sarah getting an earful about her ungrateful brother who's too good for his family now. It means being written off again, but this time with the added narrative of greed and abandonment. I need time to think about it, I say, standing up. Of course. Mom jumps up too. We're staying at the Marriott downtown through Thursday. Room 847. We were hoping maybe you could show us around the city. We've never been to San Francisco. They want the full experience. The tour, the nice dinners, the Instagram photos of their successful son showing them his glamorous West Coast life. All while the $300,000 question hangs over everything. I'll call you, I lie, already knowing I won't. As I walk back toward the office, I can feel them watching me through the cafe window, probably already planning their next move. Back in my office, I can't focus on anything. The morning stand-up meeting I'd lied about actually exists, and I sit through it barely tracking the conversation about sprint goals and deployment schedules. My mind keeps circling back to that business proposal, to the way Dad's eyes had calculated the cost of everything in our lobby, to Mom's practiced surprise at my success. When the meeting ends, I find myself Googling Hartwell and Associates. Their website is sleek but generic, the kind of real estate development firm that promises big returns and revolutionary urban renewal. What catches my attention is a news article from 2 months ago, local development firm seeks investors for downtown Columbus project. The article mentions that Hartwell has been struggling to secure traditional funding, with several banks declining to finance the project due to market uncertainties. They're looking for private investors. People like me, apparently. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Hi Michael. This is your mom's new phone. The hotel Wi-Fi is amazing. We looked up your company online, you must be making great money there. Can't wait to hear more about your life. Love you. Red heart, red heart, red heart. She got a new phone for this trip. They really have been planning this for months. Another buzz, this time from Jake, everything okay? You looked pretty shell-shocked after meeting with those people. I start to type, they're not people, they're my parents, but delete it. Instead, long story. Family stuff. Want to grab lunch later? You look like you could use it. Before I can respond, my desk phone rings. Internal call. Michael? This is Rebecca from reception. There's a woman here asking for you. Says she's your mother. She has some papers she forgot to give you. Of course she does. Tell her I'm in meetings all day, I say. Already did. She said she'd wait. I close my eyes. How long has she been sitting there? About 20 minutes. She's making friends with everyone who walks by, telling them how proud she is of her son, the computer genius. The humiliation burns hot in my chest. I can picture it perfectly, Mom holding court in our reception area, spinning her narrative to my colleagues. The devoted mother visiting her brilliant boy. The family success story. I'll handle it, I tell Rebecca. But as I'm heading to the elevator, my phone rings. Sarah. Mike. My sister's voice sounds strained. Are you okay? Mom and Dad said they were flying out to see you and I. I wanted to make sure everything was all right. This stops me cold. When did they tell you that? Last week. They seemed really excited about it. Said you've been talking about some business opportunity. There's confusion in her voice. But that doesn't sound like you. You don't really talk business with them. I don't talk to them at all, Sarah. We haven't spoken since your graduation. Silence on the other end. Then, Mike, that's not, they said you've been emailing. That you were excited about this real estate thing. The elevator arrives but I don't get on. Other employees flow around me as I stand frozen in the hallway. What exactly did they tell you? That you'd reached out about wanting to invest in something local. That you missed home and wanted to be more involved in family stuff. Her voice gets smaller. They said you were doing really well and wanted to help them start this new company. They've been setting the stage. Creating a narrative where I'm the one who initiated contact, who came to them with investment opportunities. Making sure Sarah, the only family member whose opinion I still care about, believes I'm back in the fold willingly. Sarah, I need you to listen to me carefully. I didn't email them. I didn't reach out. They showed up at my office this morning completely unannounced asking for $300,000. Another pause. $300,000. Mike, they told me it was going to be a small family loan. How small? 20,000. Maybe 30. They said you were happy to help with something that little. The scope of the lie is staggering. They're not just manipulating me, they're manipulating her too, probably planning to leverage my investment into getting money from Sarah and her husband Tom as well. A coordinated family shakedown disguised as entrepreneurial spirit. I have to go, I tell her. But Sarah? Don't give them any money. Not until we talk more. Mike, what's really going on? I look toward the reception area, where Mom is presumably still holding court, and feel something shift inside me. A familiar rage, but cleaner somehow. Focused. I'm about to find out. When I reach the reception area, I find Mom exactly where I expected her, perched on the edge of the modern leather couch, animated in conversation with two of our junior developers. She's got her phone out, showing them what I can only assume are photos. Oh, here he is now, she exclaims as she spots me. Michael, I was just telling Kevin and Amanda about your science fair projects in high school. Remember that robot you built? Kevin and Amanda look between us with polite confusion. I never built a robot. That was Sarah's project, the one that won third place at regionals while I spent that same semester working at Radio Shack to pay for my AP exam fees. Mom, what did you forget to give me? I ask, cutting straight through her performance. She fumbles in her purse and pulls out a single sheet of paper. The partnership agreement. I'm so scattered today. Travel just makes me all turned around. I take the paper and immediately see what she really came back for. At the bottom, there's a signature line with my name already typed beneath it. And next to it, a sticky note in her handwriting, sign here sweetie. Then we can get everything started. Red heart. The audacity takes my breath away. She brought a signature page to my workplace. Can we talk privately? I say, gesturing toward a small conference room off the lobby. Of course, honey. It was so lovely meeting you both, she tells Kevin and Amanda, who are clearly relieved to escape whatever family drama they've stumbled into. Once we're alone, I hold up the paper. You want me to sign this? Here. Now. Well, your father and I talked about it over coffee, and we realized there's no point in waiting. The opportunity won't last forever, and Hartwell needs an answer by Friday. She sits down and folds her hands in her lap. Besides, it's really just a formality. Family is family. Where's Dad? Back at the hotel, making some calls about the project. He's so excited, Michael. We both are. This could really change everything for us. Change everything. Because apparently their current life, the life they've been living for 30 years while systematically undermining every achievement I've ever had, isn't working out the way they'd hoped. My phone buzzes with a text from Sarah. Tom says to ask about the LLC structure and tax implications. Something doesn't sound right about this setup. Thank God for my brother-in-law. Tom's an accountant, and if he's asking questions, it means Sarah's been filling him in on the conversation. Have you shown this partnership agreement to a lawyer? I ask Mom. She laughs that dismissive little sound. Oh, Michael, it's just a standard document. Hartwell provided everything. We don't need to waste money on lawyers for something so straightforward. It's a $2.8 million project and you haven't had it reviewed by anyone? Your father looked it over very carefully. Dad sells insurance. He's never done real estate development in his life. I sit down across from her and really look at this woman who raised me. At 58, she still has that nervous energy that I remember from childhood, always moving, always performing, always working an angle. She's wearing earrings I've never seen before and a watch that looks expensive. New purchases for the trip, probably. Costumes for playing the role of successful business owner. Mom, what happens if this investment fails? If I lose the entire $300,000? Oh, honey, that won't happen. Hartwell has done projects like this before. It's practically guaranteed. She leans forward with that earnest expression she used to use when promising that this time would be different, this time Dad wouldn't drink too much at family gatherings, this time they'd remember my birthday. But if it did fail? What then? Her smile flickers for just a moment. Well, I suppose we'd all be in the same boat. But that's what families do, we weather storms together. Together. Like how we weathered the storm when I needed help with college applications and they were too busy with Sarah's volleyball tournaments. Like how we weathered the storm when I was working 3 jobs to pay for textbooks while they took a cruise to celebrate Dad's promotion. I'm not signing this today, I tell her. The smile disappears entirely. Michael, what's really going on here? We fly all the way across the country to include you in something wonderful, and you're treating us like criminals. You flew across the country to ask me for money. To offer you an opportunity. There's a difference. An opportunity that you've already told my sister is a $20,000 family loan, I say, watching her face carefully. For the first time since they arrived, Mom looks genuinely caught off guard. Her mouth opens slightly, then closes. She touches her earring, a nervous habit I remember from every time she got backed into a corner during my childhood. I don't know what you mean, she says finally. I just talked to Sarah. She thinks I reached out to you about this investment. She thinks I've been emailing you for weeks, planning this whole thing. I lean forward. She also thinks you're asking the family for maybe 30,000 total, not 300 for me alone. The color drains from her face, but she rallies quickly. Well, we didn't want to worry Sarah with all the details. You know how she gets about money since the baby. Sarah's daughter is 3 years old now, but mom still uses since the baby to justify keeping Sarah out of any conversation she finds inconvenient. What other details are you keeping from her? Michael, I think you're misunderstanding. Are you planning to ask her and Tom for money too? Silence. She's picking at the corner of the partnership agreement now, a tiny tearing motion that's creating a small pile of paper scraps on the conference room table. Because that's what this feels like, I continue. You come here with a story about me being a willing partner. You go home with proof that I'm invested. Then you leverage that to convince Sarah that if her successful brother thinks it's a good idea, maybe she should contribute too. How much were you planning to ask her for? Another 100,000. That's not, we wouldn't. She stops, takes a breath, and transforms back into wounded mother mode. Why are you so suspicious of everything? Can't you believe that we might genuinely want you to be part of something good? Because you've never wanted me to be part of anything good before. The words hang in the air between us. Through the conference room's glass wall, I can see normal people having normal workdays. Sarah Chen from the UX team is laughing at something on her screen. Marcus, the security guard, is helping someone with directions. Real relationships. Honest interactions. That's not true, Mom says quietly. Name one time. What? Name one time you wanted me to be part of something good. One achievement you celebrated. One moment when you were proud of me before there was money involved. She stares at me, and I can see her mind racing through decades of memories, looking for something that fits. The silence stretches longer than it should if the answer were obvious. Your high school graduation, she says finally. You spent my graduation dinner talking about Dad's promotion and Sarah's college plans. I don't think you mentioned my name except to ask me to pass the salt. Well, you've always been so independent. I was 17 years old. My phone buzzes. Another text from Sarah. Tom's looking at Hartwell Associates online. Their Better Business Bureau rating is D+. Multiple complaints about unfinished projects. I show Mom the screen. Did you know about this? She barely glances at it. Online reviews don't mean anything, Michael. People only post when they're upset. Multiple unfinished projects, Mom. This company has a history of taking investor money and not delivering. Hartwell explained all that. There were some challenges with city permits on those other developments, but this one is different. How is it different? They have us now. People with connections in the community. What connections? Dad knows some guys from his insurance days and Mom volunteers at the church bake sale. Neither of them has ever been involved in real estate or construction or anything remotely related to urban development. I need to get back to work, I tell her, standing up. Michael, please. Her voice cracks slightly. Don't throw this away. Don't throw us away. Not over money. The manipulation is so smooth, so practiced. Suddenly I'm the one threatening family unity. I'm the one being unreasonable about money. I'm the one destroying relationships. I'll think about it, I lie, handing back the unsigned partnership agreement. She takes it with trembling fingers, and for just a moment, she looks older than her 58 years. Smaller. Like a woman who's bet everything on a desperate plan and can feel it slipping away. We love you, she says. I know you don't believe that, but we do. As I watch her gather her purse and smooth her hair, preparing to walk back through my workplace lobby and past my colleagues, I almost feel sorry for her. Almost. Then I remember the phone calls to relatives about my mental state. The graduation dinner. The 20 years of casual dismissal followed by this sudden desperate interest in my success. I'll call you at the hotel, I tell her. But we both know I won't. After Mom leaves, I sit in the empty conference room for 10 minutes, staring at the small pile of paper scraps she'd unconsciously torn from the partnership agreement. My hands are shaking again, not from anxiety this time, but from pure rage. I pull out my phone and call Tom directly. Mike? Sarah said you guys talked. What the hell is going on? How bad is Hartwell Associates? I ask without preamble. Bad. Like, really bad. I found 3 separate lawsuits from investors who claimed the company took their money and then abandoned projects halfway through construction. There's also a pattern of them targeting out-of-state investors who can't easily monitor the day-to-day operations. My stomach drops. Out-of-state investors. Yeah. People who can't just drive by the construction site to check progress. People who have to trust the company's word about how things are going. Tom pauses. Mike, please tell me you haven't signed anything yet. No, but they're pushing hard. Mom just brought a signature page to my office. Jesus. This is worse than I thought. Sarah told me they said you've been in contact for weeks, but if they're showing up unannounced with contracts. Tom's voice gets that careful tone he uses when he's about to deliver bad news. I think they're in real financial trouble. What do you mean? People don't fly across the country for a business pitch unless they're desperate. And the fact that they've been lying to Sarah about the amounts involved. Mike, I think they need this money fast. Like, immediately. I close my eyes. How much trouble are we talking about? I don't know yet. But I'm going to make some calls to people I know in Columbus. If your parents are mixed up with a company that has this kind of track record. He trails off. Just don't give them anything until we know more. After we hang up, I try to focus on work, but my phone keeps buzzing with updates. Sarah sends me screenshots of more negative Hartwell reviews. Tom forwards me a link to a Columbus Dispatch article about stalled downtown development projects. Each piece of information makes the picture clearer and worse. At 3:47 p.m., Rebecca calls from reception again. Michael? Your father is here now. He says he needs to speak with you urgently. I find Dad in the lobby, and he looks different from this morning. The confident businessman persona has been replaced by something more frantic. His hair is messed up, his tie is slightly crooked, and he's got his phone pressed to his ear, speaking in low, tense tones. He spots me and ends his call abruptly. Michael. Thank God. We need to talk. Privately. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Everything's fine. But we need to move faster on this Hartwell situation. He's speaking quickly, not quite meeting my eyes. They called this afternoon, another investor is interested in our spot. We need to get our commitment in by tomorrow or we might lose the opportunity entirely. Dad, what aren't you telling me? Nothing. It's just business. First come, first served. But the good news is, they're willing to reduce the minimum investment. Instead of $300,000, they'll take $250 if we commit by noon tomorrow. $50,000 less, but I have to decide immediately. Classic high-pressure sales tactics, and Dad is either falling for them completely or he's more desperate than I realized. Where's Mom? Back at the hotel, working on some paperwork. She's fine. She's excited. But his voice wavers when he says it, and I notice his hands are trembling slightly as he puts his phone away. Dad, what's really going on? And don't tell me everything's fine. He looks around the lobby, then back at me, and for just a moment, his mask slips completely. We need this to work, Michael. We really need it to work. The desperation in Dad's voice sends a chill through me. I've never heard him sound like this, not even during his worst drinking periods in high school, not even when he got passed over for that promotion he'd been counting on. Dad, sit down, I tell him, gesturing toward the lobby seating area. Tell me what you mean by, need this to work. He shakes his head rapidly. Not here. Too many people. Can we go somewhere private? We end up back in the same conference room where Mom had tried to get me to sign papers 3 hours earlier. Dad sits heavily in the chair and immediately starts rubbing his temples. The insurance agency is closing, he says without looking up. I blink. What? Mercer and Associates. They're closing the Columbus branch. Downsizing due to market conditions. He finally meets my eyes, and they're bloodshot. I've got 90 days, then I'm unemployed. The insurance agency where Dad has worked for 15 years. The job he's always described as stable, reliable, boring but secure. The foundation of their entire middle-class existence. When did you find out? 6 weeks ago. We've been looking at options, trying to figure out next steps. He laughs bitterly. You know what the job market looks like for a 60-year-old insurance salesman. Especially one whose branch got shut down for underperformance. My mind races. 6 weeks ago, that's right around when Tom said the TechCrunch article came out mentioning my name. The timeline isn't a coincidence. So you saw the article about Nexus and decided to. I trail off, letting him fill in the blanks. We decided to explore opportunities that might benefit the whole family, he says, but the corporate speak sounds hollow coming from him. The Hartwell project is legitimate, Michael. We researched it. Tom found 3 lawsuits against them. Dad's face tightens. Every successful company gets sued. It doesn't mean anything. Dad, their Better Business Bureau rating is D+. Those ratings are biased toward big corporations. Small developers always get lower scores. He has an answer for everything, which means he's either done extensive research to justify this decision or someone has coached him on handling objections. Given what I know about my father's research skills, I'm betting on the latter. What did Hartwell tell you about those lawsuits? I ask. That they were frivolous. Disgruntled investors who didn't understand the development process. Dad pulls out his phone and scrolls through what looks like a prepared notes app. Construction delays are normal in this industry. The investors got impatient and tried to blame the company instead of accepting that quality work takes time. Word-for-word sales pitch. Someone definitely coached him. Dad, how much of your own money have you already given them? The question hits like I've slapped him. His mouth opens, closes, opens again. We haven't, it's not, there was a good faith deposit required to hold our investor position. How much? $25,000. The words come out barely above a whisper. $25,000. Their emergency fund, probably. Maybe retirement savings. Money they can't afford to lose, especially with Dad's job disappearing in 90 days. Jesus, Dad. It's refundable, he says quickly. If we bring in the additional investment by tomorrow, everything moves forward. If not, we get the deposit back. Did you get that in writing? Another pause. Another mask slip. Hartwell doesn't operate that way. They're relationship-based. Handshake deals with people they trust. I close my eyes and count to 10. When I open them, Dad is staring at his hands, looking older and more defeated than I've ever seen him. Dad, you've been scammed. No. No, that's not, this is legitimate. They have office space, business licenses, references from other investors. Who probably don't exist. My phone buzzes with a text from Tom. Mike, call me ASAP. Found something important about Hartwell. I step outside the conference room to take the call, keeping Dad visible through the glass wall. Tom, what did you find? Hartwell Associates filed for bankruptcy in Nevada 18 months ago. The Columbus operation is technically a new company, but it's the same people. Same CEO, same business model, same pattern of targeting desperate investors. I watch Dad through the glass. He's got his head in his hands now, and his shoulders are shaking slightly. Tom, I think my parents already gave them money. How much? $25,000 so far. They're pushing for another $250 from me by tomorrow. Mike, listen to me carefully. If your parents gave them money yesterday or today, there might still be time to stop the bank transfer. But they need to call their bank immediately and report potential fraud. I look at my father, this man who raised me with a combination of neglect and criticism, who never once said he was proud of me until money entered the picture, who showed up at my workplace today with a desperate scheme that was always doomed to fail. He needs help. Real help. The kind I'm not sure I'm capable of giving after everything that's happened between us. But watching him sit there, crushed by the weight of his own poor decisions and the reality of being systematically conned, I realize something that surprises me. I can't let him go down like this. Not like this. I walk back into the conference room and sit across from Dad, who's still staring at his hands like they might hold some answer to this disaster. Dad, I need you to call your bank right now and stop any pending transfers to Hartwell. His head snaps up. What? Why would I? Because they filed for bankruptcy in Nevada 18 months ago. The Columbus operation is the same people running the same scam under a new company name. I show him my phone with Tom's text thread. You've been conned. The color drains from his face as he reads, but then he shakes his head violently. No, that's impossible. I met with Richard Hartwell personally. He showed me the property, the development plans, the permit applications. All of which can be faked. I lean forward. Dad, when did you give them the $25,000? Yesterday morning. Before we flew out. His voice is getting smaller. Richard said having the deposit confirmed would strengthen our position when we talked to you. Yesterday morning. Less than 24 hours ago. What bank? First National Columbus. But Michael, I signed agreements. Legal documents. Probably worthless paper. Dad, call them now. Tell them you need to report suspected fraud and stop any transfers to Hartwell Associates. His hands are shaking as he dials. I watch him navigate through the bank's phone system, getting transferred twice before finally reaching someone who can help. His side of the conversation is painful to listen to. Yes, I need to. I think I might have been. There was a deposit yesterday for $25,000. No, I don't want to cancel it. I need to know if it can be stopped because. He covers the phone and whispers to me, they're saying the wire transfer already went through. The money is gone. Of course it is. These people are professionals. Ask them about filing a fraud report anyway. For the record. Dad nods and continues the conversation, but I can tell from his expression that we're too late. By the time he hangs up, he looks like he's aged 5 years. They'll start a fraud investigation, but they can't guarantee anything. Wire transfers are basically cash once they're completed. We sit in silence for a moment. Through the conference room window, I can see my normal life continuing around us, colleagues heading home, the evening security guard replacing Marcus, cleaning staff starting their rounds. Everything exactly as it was this morning, except now my parents' financial catastrophe has become my problem too. Does Mom know? I ask. About the job. Yes. About the. He gestures vaguely at his phone, about this being a scam. Not yet. Dad, you have to tell her. I know. I just. He slumps back in his chair. She was so excited about this opportunity. About us finally doing something that would make our kids proud of us. The irony cuts deep. They threw away $25,000 chasing my pride, something they'd never seemed particularly interested in earning before. There's something else, Dad continues, his voice barely audible. The deposit wasn't the only money we committed. My stomach clenches. What do you mean? We took out a second mortgage. $43,000. It's sitting in our checking account right now, ready to transfer tomorrow when you. He can't finish the sentence. When I agreed to invest $300,000, you were planning to add another 43? He nods miserably. Richard said having more family investment would show commitment. Better terms, higher returns. We were going to surprise you. $68,000 total. Their emergency fund plus a mortgage against the house they've lived in for 22 years. Everything they have, handed over to a bankruptcy con artist named Richard who probably isn't even in Columbus anymore. My phone buzzes. Text from Sarah, Tom says we need to call you. Emergency family meeting. I show Dad the message. We have to tell Sarah and Tom what's happening. Not yet. Please, Michael. Give me a chance to figure this out first. Figure what out? Dad, you've been robbed. There's nothing to figure out. Maybe if I call Richard, explain the situation, ask for the deposit back. His voice trails off as he sees my expression. He seemed like such a nice man. I'm sure he did. That's how confidence games work. Dad's phone starts ringing. He glances at the screen and his face goes white. It's your mother. Answer it. Michael, I can't. Not yet. I need to think about how to. The phone stops ringing, then immediately starts again. Dad, she's going to keep calling until you pick up. And if you don't, she'll call me next. As if summoned by my words, my own phone starts buzzing. Mom's contact photo, a picture from Sarah's wedding where she's forcing her biggest smile, fills the screen. Answer it, Dad whispers. Please. Just, don't tell her yet. I swipe to accept the call. Hi, Mom. Michael, thank goodness. I've been trying to reach your father for an hour. Is he with you? Her voice has that edge it gets when she knows something's wrong but can't pinpoint what. He's here. Well, I have wonderful news. Richard called, they've had another investor back out, which means they can offer us an even better deal. Instead of requiring the full investment tomorrow, they'll take $100,000 now and the rest over the next 6 months. Isn't that perfect? Much easier for everyone. I look at Dad, who's staring at his phone like it might explode. The scam is evolving in real time, adapting to squeeze whatever money they can get immediately rather than risk losing everything by pushing too hard. Mom, where are you right now? In the hotel business center, printing out the new agreements. Richard is sending a car to pick them up in an hour. Her excitement is genuine, which somehow makes everything worse. Michael, this is really happening. We're really doing this. Don't sign anything else, I tell her. We need to talk first. All of us. Talk about what? Sweetie, I know this is big, but sometimes you have to take calculated risks. Richard says. Richard is a con artist, Mom. Hartwell Associates is a scam. The silence on the other end stretches so long I think the call might have dropped. Finally, what did you say? Dad is shaking his head frantically, making slashing motions across his throat, but it's too late. The truth is out there now. The company filed for bankruptcy 18 months ago in Nevada. They're running the same con in Columbus with the same people. Dad already lost $25,000 yesterday. That's not. Michael, you don't understand. I just spoke with Richard 20 minutes ago. He's a legitimate businessman. He has references, testimonials. Mom, where exactly are you printing these agreements? In the hotel business center, like I said. Why? Look around. Are you alone? A pause. Well, no, there's a gentleman here helping me with the printer settings. Very nice man, actually. He says he's familiar with Hartwell's work. My blood runs cold. Mom, describe this man. Oh, maybe 55, silver hair, very professional. Expensive suit. He was just telling me what a smart investment this is, how his own family has done very well with similar projects. Mom, get away from that man right now. Michael, don't be ridiculous. Right now, Mom. Walk away from him and go to your room. Lock the door. I hear movement on her end, voices in the background. Then Mom's voice, more distant now, I'm sorry, I need to take this call privately. More sounds, an elevator ding, then her voice closer again, Michael, you're scaring me. What's going on? They've got someone at your hotel, Mom. Probably watching, making sure you follow through on signing the new agreements. I can hear her breathing, quick and shallow. That's impossible. This is a coincidence. The man was just being friendly. What room are you in? 847, but. Pack everything right now. Check out immediately and go to a different hotel. Don't tell anyone where you're going. Michael, this is insane. You're talking like we're in some kind of spy movie. I look at Dad, who's listening to my side of the conversation with growing horror on his face. He mouths, how did they know, and I realize he's finally understanding the scope of what they're dealing with. Mom, listen to me very carefully. Professional con artists research their targets. They know what hotel you're staying in, what room you're in, probably what time you checked in and when your flight leaves. The man in the business center wasn't a coincidence. I hear her fumbling with something, then the sound of a door closing. I'm in the room. The door is locked. But Michael, this doesn't make sense. How would they even know? Because Dad probably gave them your travel information when he made the deposit yesterday. Right, Dad? Dad nods miserably. Richard asked about our accommodations. Said he wanted to make sure we were comfortable during our visit. I thought he was just being polite. Oh God, Mom's voice is getting shaky now. Oh God, what have we done? Through the phone, I hear a knock at her hotel room door. 3 firm, professional raps. Don't answer that, I tell her immediately. It might be housekeeping. It's not housekeeping. Mom, step away from the door. The knocking comes again, more insistent this time. Then a man's voice, muffled but audible through the phone, Mrs. Morrison. This is Richard Hartwell. I have those revised contracts we discussed. May I come in for just a moment? Mom's sharp intake of breath tells me she recognizes the voice. He's here. Richard is here. At my door. Do not open that door, I say, louder than I intended. Several colleagues in the lobby look in my direction through the conference room glass. But if he's really legitimate. Mom, legitimate businessmen don't show up unannounced at hotel rooms with contracts. They don't have associates lurking in business centers. They don't demand immediate decisions on major investments. The knocking stops. Then Richard's voice again, closer to the door now, Mrs. Morrison, I know you're in there. Your husband mentioned you might be having some concerns about the timeline. I'm here to address those concerns personally. He knows Dad talked to me, I realize aloud. They're monitoring the situation in real time. Dad looks sick. My phone. When I called you earlier, I was standing outside the hotel. Richard was in the lobby when I left. He could have heard. Mrs. Morrison, Richard's voice continues through the door, I understand your son has been researching our company online. Unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation on the internet about successful development firms. Competitors trying to damage our reputation. I have documentation that clears up any confusion. The man is good. Even knowing it's a scam, his voice sounds reasonable, professional, slightly hurt that anyone would question his integrity. What do I do? Mom whispers into the phone. Call hotel security. Tell them there's a man harassing you at your door who won't leave. But what if he really does have documentation that explains? Mom, there is no documentation. There is no legitimate explanation. You and Dad have been targeted by professional criminals who've already stolen $25,000 and are trying to steal more. The knocking resumes, more aggressive now. Richard's voice has an edge it didn't have before. Mrs. Morrison, I'm going to need those signed agreements tonight. We have other investors waiting, and if your family can't move forward, we'll have to offer your position to someone who can. Classic pressure tactic, but delivered with a subtle threat underneath. The message is clear, sign now or lose everything you've already invested. I'm calling security, Mom says, and I hear her dialing the hotel phone. Through my phone speaker, Richard's voice comes one more time, I'll wait in the lobby, Mrs. Morrison. But I can only hold your investment position until midnight tonight. After that, I'm afraid the opportunity will pass to other investors. Then silence. I stay on the phone with Mom while she talks to hotel security, my heart pounding as I listen to her explain the situation in increasingly frantic terms. Dad sits across from me, methodically deleting numbers from his phone, Richard's contact information, the Hartwell office line, probably trying to erase the evidence of his own stupidity. Security says they'll escort me to the front desk to check out, Mom reports back. But Michael, what if this is all a misunderstanding? What if we're ruining a legitimate business opportunity because of some online rumors? Even now, even with a con artist literally stalking her hotel room, she's still hoping this might work out. The desperation in her voice cuts deeper than I expected. Mom, Tom found court records. Bankruptcy filings. This isn't online rumors, it's public legal documentation. But the money we already paid is gone, I tell her gently. I'm sorry, but it's gone. Through the phone, I hear movement, voices, what sounds like an elevator. Then Mom again, okay, I'm at the front desk. They're processing the checkout. A pause. Michael, there's a man watching me from across the lobby. Silver hair, expensive suit. That's probably your new friend from the business center. He's talking on his phone now. Looking right at me. The coordination is impressive and terrifying. Richard at the room, an associate monitoring the lobby, probably someone else positioned to follow them wherever they go next. These aren't desperate amateurs, they're running a sophisticated operation with multiple people and real-time communication. Mom, ask the front desk to call you a taxi to the airport. Not a ride share, an actual cab company. And ask them to have it wait in the back or side entrance, not the main door. The airport? Our flight isn't until Thursday. Change it. Get on the next flight to Columbus tonight if you can. I hear her talking to the desk clerk, then, there's a United flight at 9:47 p.m. 2 seats available. Book it. Right now. Michael, that's going to cost. Mom, book the goddamn flight. The sharpness in my voice surprises both of us. Through the conference room window, I notice that most of my colleagues have gone home. The office is quieting down for the evening, but I'm dealing with what feels like a badly written thriller movie. Okay. I'm booking it. More conversation with the desk clerk. Done. Flight leaves in 3 hours. Good. Now listen carefully, when the taxi comes, you go straight to the airport. Don't stop anywhere, don't talk to anyone, and especially don't answer your phone if any unknown numbers call. What about your father? How is he getting to the airport? I look at Dad, who's been following my half of the conversation with growing anxiety. Dad's coming with me. We'll meet you there. This isn't exactly true, I haven't figured out the logistics yet, but I need to get them both out of San Francisco tonight before Richard and his team escalate their tactics. Mrs. Morrison. Mom's voice becomes muffled as she apparently covers the phone. I hear her talking to someone else, then she's back. The taxi is here. Back in trance like you said. Go. Now. Don't look back, don't wave goodbye to your new friend in the lobby. Just go. Michael, I'm scared. For the first time in this entire conversation, she sounds like my actual mother instead of a woman playing a role. Vulnerable. Confused. Completely out of her depth. I know, Mom. But you're going to be okay. Get to the airport, get on that plane, and don't make any financial decisions until you're back in Columbus and we can all figure this out together. What about the money we already lost? The second mortgage? I close my eyes. The second mortgage. In all the chaos, I'd almost forgotten about the additional $43,000 they borrowed against their house. We'll figure it out, I tell her, though I have no idea how. Michael? Her voice is very small now. Are we going to lose the house? The question hits like a physical blow. These people who raised me, who criticized and dismissed and manipulated me for 28 years, who showed up at my office this morning with their desperate scheme, they might actually lose their home because of this. No, I hear myself saying. No, you're not going to lose the house. I won't let that happen. Promise? I look at Dad, who's staring at me with something that might be hope mixed with shame. I promise, Mom. After Mom's taxi pulls away from the hotel, I sit with Dad in the conference room trying to figure out how to get him safely to the airport. My phone keeps buzzing with updates from Tom, who's now fully invested in researching every aspect of the Hartwell scam. Mike, it's worse than we thought, Tom texts. Found 2 more cities where they've run this exact same operation. Phoenix and Jacksonville. Same pattern, target middle-class families facing financial pressure, same fake development projects, same bankruptcy and disappearance. I show Dad the message. He reads it twice, then sets his phone face down on the table. How many other families? He asks quietly. What do you mean? How many other families like us did they target? How many other desperate people did I help them find? The question stops me cold. Dad, what are you talking about? He won't meet my eyes. Richard asked me for references. People in similar situations who might be interested in investment opportunities. I gave him 3 names. My stomach drops. Who? The Kowalskis, Jim lost his job at the plant last month. The Hendersons, Carol's been talking about retirement but their 401k took a hit. And. He pauses, looking sick. And your Uncle Pete. Uncle Pete. Mom's brother who's been struggling since his divorce, working 2 part-time jobs just to pay child support. The same Uncle Pete who helped me move furniture when I got my first apartment, who never forgot my birthday even when my own parents did. Dad, you have to warn them. Right now. I already tried calling Jim on the way over here. It went straight to voicemail. Dad pulls up his recent calls. Same with Carol and Pete. None of them are answering. I grab my phone and start dialing Uncle Pete's number. It rings 4 times, then, the number you have dialed is not in service. Please check the number and try again. His phone's been disconnected, I tell Dad. That's impossible. I just talked to him yesterday morning, gave him Richard's contact information. We stare at each other as the implication hits. Uncle Pete didn't just get targeted, he might have already been cleaned out. Phone service gets cut when you can't pay the bill. Dad, we need to get you to the airport, but first we're driving to Uncle Pete's apartment. Michael, we don't have time. We're making time. I call an Uber for the 20-minute ride to Pete's place in Daly City, a rundown complex where he's been living since the divorce. The whole drive, Dad keeps trying to reach the other families he referred, getting either voicemails or disconnected numbers. This is my fault, he keeps saying. I brought this on all of them. Dad, you didn't know. I should have known. 43 years old and I've never been involved in anything like real estate development, but suddenly I'm an expert recommending investments to my family. He laughs bitterly. Richard made me feel so smart, so successful. Like I was finally doing something important. Uncle Pete's apartment is on the 3rd floor. I knock on 3B and hear movement inside, then Pete's voice through the door. Who is it? It's Michael, Uncle Pete. Dad's with me. The door opens immediately, and I barely recognize the man standing there. Uncle Pete looks like he's lost 20 pounds, his clothes hang loose, and there are dark circles under his eyes that suggest he hasn't been sleeping. Mike? What are you doing here? I thought you were in California. I am in California. Uncle Pete, we need to talk about Richard Hartwell. His face goes white. How do you know about Richard? Dad steps forward. Pete, I'm the one who gave him your number. But we found out. You. Pete's voice cracks. You're the family connection he mentioned. I look between them, realizing the scope of what's happened. Uncle Pete, how much money did you give them? He doesn't answer, just turns and walks back into the apartment. We follow him into a living room that's been stripped bare, no TV, no furniture except a single folding chair and a card table. Empty spaces on the walls where pictures used to hang. Everything, Pete says, collapsing into the chair. I gave them everything. The silence in Uncle Pete's stripped apartment is deafening. Dad and I stand there taking in the empty walls, the missing furniture, the complete absence of anything that made this place a home. Pete, Dad's voice is barely a whisper. How much is everything? Uncle Pete laughs, but there's no humor in it. 78,000. My entire settlement from the divorce. The money I was supposed to use for a down payment on a house so I could get joint custody of Emma back. His voice breaks on his daughter's name. Richard said I could double it in 6 months. Said real estate development was the smartest investment for single fathers looking to rebuild their lives. I feel sick. Emma is Pete's 8-year-old daughter who's been living with his ex-wife since the divorce. Pete has been fighting for shared custody for 2 years, but the court required him to have stable housing first. That 78,000 was his ticket to getting his daughter back. When did you give them the money? I ask. 3 days ago. Wire transfer, just like your dad. Pete looks at Dad with something between confusion and betrayal. Richard said my brother-in-law had spoken so highly of me. Said the family connection made me a priority investor. Dad sinks against the wall. Pete, I swear I didn't know. They played me too. Played you. You still have your house. Your job. Pete stops mid-sentence, studying Dad's face. You lost money too, didn't you? 25,000 so far. And I'm losing my job in 90 days. Jesus Christ. Pete runs his hands through his hair. How many of us are there? How big is this thing? My phone buzzes with another text from Tom. Mike, call me immediately. Sarah's getting strange calls. I step into Pete's kitchen to take the call, leaving Dad and Pete to compare notes on their mutual destruction. Tom, what's happening with Sarah? She's been getting calls all day from someone claiming to be a paralegal with Hartwell Associates. They're saying Michael Morrison signed investment agreements this morning and they need to verify family financial information for the partnership paperwork. My blood turns to ice. They're targeting Sarah now. It gets worse. They somehow know about Emma's college fund, the one Sarah and I set up for Pete's daughter. They're asking specific questions about account numbers and balances. I close my eyes. How much is in that fund? 42,000. Sarah's been contributing for 3 years, hoping to help Pete get back on his feet. Tom's voice is grim. Mike, they know everything about your family. Bank accounts, investments, employment history, even personal relationships. This isn't random targeting, they've done extensive research. Through the kitchen doorway, I can see Dad and Pete sitting on the floor now, both of them looking destroyed. 2 men who worked their whole lives, who tried to do right by their families, completely taken apart by professionals who studied their weaknesses and exploited them perfectly. Tom, where's Sarah right now? At work, but she's supposed to pick up Emma from Pete's ex-wife at 6. The paralegal specifically mentioned that pickup time, Mike. They know Sarah's schedule. I check my watch, 5:23 p.m. Tell Sarah not to go. Tell her to call Lisa and cancel the pickup, stay somewhere public with lots of people around. Already done. But Mike, if they know about Emma's pickup schedule, what else do they know? Where Sarah works, where we live, Emma's school. The scope of the surveillance is staggering. These people haven't just been running a financial scam, they've been conducting intelligence operations on my entire family. We need to get everyone together tonight, I tell Tom. Somewhere safe where we can figure out how deep this goes and what they're planning next. What about the police? What are we going to tell them? That smooth-talking businessman convinced my family to make bad investments. I look back at Dad and Pete. Everything they did was technically legal. Lies, manipulation, psychological pressure, but no laws broken until we can prove intent to defraud. My phone starts ringing. Unknown number with a Columbus area code. Tom, I'm getting a call. Probably them. Don't answer it. But I do answer it, because I need to know what we're dealing with. Michael Morrison. The voice is smooth, professional, with just a hint of concern. This is Richard Hartwell. I believe there's been some misunderstanding about our family investment opportunity. Mr. Morrison, Richard continues, his voice carrying that practiced warmth I'm already learning to hate. I understand you've been doing some research on our company. I appreciate due diligence, it shows you're a serious investor. I gesture frantically for Dad and Pete to be quiet. Through the kitchen doorway, I can see them both frozen, listening to my side of the conversation. I'm not an investor, I tell Richard. And I never will be. Now, Michael, may I call you Michael? I think there's been some confusion. Your father spoke very highly of your business acumen. He was excited about bringing you into our Columbus project as a key partner. The man's audacity is breathtaking. He's stolen money from my family members, stalked my mother at her hotel, and now he's calling me like we're old friends discussing a legitimate business deal. You mean the project you're running under a company that filed bankruptcy in Nevada? A slight pause. When Richard speaks again, his voice has lost some of its warmth. I see you've been reading those frivolous court filings. Michael, every successful company faces challenges. What matters is how we learn from those experiences and come back stronger. What matters is that you've stolen $78,000 from my uncle and $25,000 from my parents. Stolen is a very strong word. Your family members made informed investment decisions based on legitimate opportunities. The fact that you're having second thoughts doesn't make their choices theft. I look at Uncle Pete, sitting on the floor of his empty apartment, and feel my anger crystallize into something cold and focused. Where's the money, Richard? The invested funds are exactly where they should be, secured in development accounts, ready to fund our Columbus project. Your Uncle Pete, in particular, should be very excited about his potential returns. Put Pete on the phone with one of your other investors. Someone who's actually received returns from a Hartwell project. Another pause, longer this time. Michael, I'm calling because I believe we can resolve this situation amicably. Your family has invested significant resources in our project. Walking away now would mean losing everything they've contributed. But if you add your investment as originally discussed, everyone benefits from the enhanced partnership structure. The threat is implicit but clear: give us more money or your family loses what they've already paid. How much are you asking for now? I ask, curious to see how the scam adapts in real time. Given the family circumstances, we're prepared to accept a reduced commitment from you. $75,000 instead of the original $300. Think of it as consolidating your family's position under your leadership. $75,000. Just enough to clean out my savings account without seeming impossibly large. They've researched my financial situation as thoroughly as everyone else's. And if I refuse? Then your father loses his $25,000 deposit, your uncle loses his entire investment, and frankly, Michael, your family's financial reputation in Columbus will suffer considerably. People talk in small cities. Word gets around about families who can't honor their commitments. Now he's threatening their social standing too. In a place like Columbus, where Dad has lived his whole life, reputation matters for everything from future employment to basic social acceptance. Richard, I have a counterproposal. I'm listening. Give my family their money back, all of it, and we'll forget this conversation ever happened. He laughs, and for the first time, it sounds genuinely amused rather than practiced. Michael, that's not how business works. But I'll tell you what, if you can wire the $75,000 by midnight tonight, I'll personally guarantee your family gets priority returns on the entire investment. And if I don't? Then I'm afraid this opportunity closes permanently. And your family will have to live with the consequences of that decision. The call ends. I stare at my phone screen for a long moment after Richard hangs up, then look at Dad and Uncle Pete sitting on the floor of this stripped apartment. Something crystallizes in my mind, not just anger, but clarity about what I need to do. Dad, how many people back home know about your successful son in Silicon Valley? He looks confused by the question. I don't know, most people, I guess. Why? Because Richard was right about one thing: people talk in small cities. And I'm about to give them something to talk about. I pull out my laptop and start typing, right there in Uncle Pete's empty kitchen. Dad and Pete watch nervously as I create a new Facebook post, my fingers moving faster than they have all day. Michael, what are you doing? Dad asks. I'm telling the truth. All of it. The post starts simple. Why do you hate your parents? Someone asked me this question recently, and today I finally have an answer. I write about the phone call at 7:23 this morning. About Mom and Dad showing up at my workplace with a signature page and a desperate scheme. About the years of emotional manipulation, the golden child dynamics, the way they dismissed every achievement until money entered the picture. But I don't stop there. I include Richard Hartwell's full name and phone number. Screenshots of the bankruptcy filings Tom found. Photos of the Hartwell Associates business license that expires next month. A detailed breakdown of exactly how the scam works, the fake investor references, the psychological profiling, the coordinated stalking operation. The man who stole from my family is named Richard Hartwell, I type. He's running the same scam in Columbus that he's run in Nevada, Phoenix, and Jacksonville. He targets middle-class families facing financial pressure, and he's very, very good at what he does. I include Uncle Pete's story, with his permission. The divorce settlement money. 8-year-old Emma's custody situation. The $78,000 that represented a father's chance to rebuild his relationship with his daughter. Dad reads over my shoulder, his face growing pale. Michael, you can't post this. What about our privacy? What about the family reputation? What family reputation, Dad? The one where you raised a son you barely spoke to for 8 months? Or the one where you got conned out of your retirement savings? I keep writing. About the second mortgage they took against their house. About Sarah's college fund for Emma being targeted. About Tom finding 3 more families in Columbus who've gone silent after being contacted by Hartwell Associates. But then I write about something else. Here's what I realized sitting in my uncle's empty apartment: I don't hate my parents. I hate what desperation made them become. I hate that our relationship got so broken that they felt they couldn't ask me for help directly. I hate that con artists like Richard Hartwell exist specifically to prey on families like mine. I pause, looking at Uncle Pete. Pete, what's your ex-wife's name? Emma's mom. Lisa. Why? Because I'm about to do something that might help you get your daughter back. I add another paragraph. To Lisa Morrison in the family court of Franklin County, my Uncle Pete lost his daughter's college fund to criminals, but that doesn't make him a bad father. It makes him a victim. I'm setting up a new account for Emma's college expenses, and I'm matching what Pete originally saved. Emma deserves her father in her life, and Pete deserves a chance to rebuild without being punished for being targeted by professionals. Dad is staring at me now. Michael, that's $42,000 you're talking about. I know exactly how much it is, Dad. I write about the house. The second mortgage. The job loss in 90 days. And then. Richard Hartwell called me an hour ago demanding $75,000 by midnight, threatening my family's reputation if I refused. So here's my response: Richard, since I know you're monitoring my social media, you picked the wrong family. My parents may have raised me with emotional neglect and manipulation, but they also raised me to be stubborn as hell when someone threatens people I care about. I include Richard's phone number again, along with his hotel information and a description of his silver-haired associate. Then I tag every Columbus area news outlet, the Better Business Bureau, and the Ohio Attorney General's office. Share this post, I write. Make Richard Hartwell famous for all the wrong reasons. Make it impossible for him to run this scam on anyone else's family. Before I can second guess myself, I hit post. Within minutes, the comments start flooding in. College friends sharing their own family scam stories. Former colleagues boosting the signal. People in Columbus recognizing Hartwell's name and adding their own warnings. But the comment that stops me comes from Sarah, posted just 3 minutes after my post goes live. Mike, I'm proud of you. For the first time in our lives, you sound like my big brother. My phone rings. Mom, calling from the airport. Michael, what did you do? My Facebook is exploding. I told the truth, Mom. All of it. But everyone will see, everyone will know about our problems. Good, I tell her. Because Richard Hartwell's scam only works in darkness. And Mom, you're not losing the house. We're going to figure this out together, as a family. A real family this time. 2 hours later, the Columbus Dispatch calls for an interview. By midnight, my post has been shared 847 times. Richard Hartwell's phone goes to a disconnected number sometime around 2 a.m. Dad and Uncle Pete sleep on my couch that night. When we wake up, there are 17 Facebook messages from other Hartwell victims, and Uncle Pete has a voicemail from his ex-wife asking if they can talk about Emma's custody arrangement. I finally have my answer to why I hated my parents, because I was afraid of becoming them. But watching Dad help Pete research victim advocacy resources, seeing Mom coordinate with other families to file police reports, I realize something has changed. I don't hate them anymore. I just refuse to let their damage define my family's future.